Bulletcast for life.
Welcome everybody to another edition of Under the Radar. My name is Brandon, and on today's episode we're going to be doing things a little bit differently because, as you know, I said last week on the Bulletcast that I will not be on this week's Bulletcast because I will be going down to LA to go see NXT Takeover War Games and Survivor Series. Yes, I will be in the house. Maybe you'll see me on TV, maybe for War Games. We'll have to see where my seats line up for that one, but I will be doing my predictions, my preview for those shows on this podcast right here. I'm a little bit misinformed. This is Tuesday, right before SmackDown, so SmackDown has not taken place yet. The latest episode of NXT has not taken place yet, so I haven't seen the go-home shows yet. But I'm going to still go out on a limb and make these predictions. So if I end up losing the Bulletcast Championship, which we all know I probably will because that's just what I do, because I'm like Sasha Banks. I win it, and I give it right back. I can't, I'm not the best I can win them. I'm like the Dudley Boys. I'm going to win 100 times, but they're all going to be like a couple week reigns. So, let's just jump into it. Last week, I forgot the so popular segment that everybody loves, the Total Divas segment. I forgot to recap last week's episode of Total Divas, but just because I love you guys, we're going to get a double dose of Total Divas to kick off the episode. So, let's just jump into it. So, this was 2 weeks ago. Lana and Rusev went down to San Diego. I believe it's either in San Diego or Arizona, wherever Brie and Daniel Bryan reside at. So, the Royal Rumble is coming up, and Lana wanted to get some pointers on how to do a ladder match, how to do Money in the Bank, and all that other good, fun stuff. She didn't want Rusev to help her because she feels like Rusev hurts her, or it doesn't hurt her, but yells at her too much and kind of doesn't take her seriously. But Daniel Bryan, she feels like he's been in so many different ladder matches that he's the best person to help train her. So they go to Brie and Bryan's house, and they, Nikki and I am just messing it up. Nikki and Rusev take care of Birdie while Brie, Bryan, and Lana go down to the wrestling school or wherever they go they go to some like little local wrestling academy and they train there. So while Lana is learning how to fold a ladder and put it into the ring, Rusev has the grand idea to go throw Birdie a 1-year party. But Birdie is 13 months old, so she is kind of already gone past that the 1-year milestone. But because Bryan was not there, he was on the road, Brie just did some little thing with Nikki and Birdie. You can see it on the Bella Twins YouTube channel. I believe they had some sort of healthy chocolate cake that Brie made, and Birdie got the chocolate all over her face. It was so cute. But Rusev wanted to throw Birdie a birthday party. He wanted to go full-on Rusev Bulgaria style, and the best thing that Rusev did, there's this little cake, and what they do is they like put the baby's feet in the dough, and then they bake it, so then you get like Birdie's little feet, and then everybody has to pass it around and eat it, and it was very cute. So then, after Lana learns how to fold a ladder, they come back and they, this is like the next day, I think, or something like that. Nikki and Rusev take him down to the hotel, or to a hotel reception hall, and then there's family there, and they have this big old birthday party, and Nikki thought Brie was going to be mad, but she was actually quite happy because Bryan got to celebrate his baby's 1-year birthday, her first birthday. So that was a nice little thing right there. And then, let's see, I don't even remember what the other side story was. I have yes, Nia and Paige. The other side story was Nia and Paige. Paige, her whole thing was that her entire life she'd just been in the wrestling business. She never had an actual job. So she thought on their days off or their weekend off that she wanted to go with Nia and do some odd jobs. So they decided to do those little bike, I don't even know what the hell you would call it. They're in San Francisco all the time. You sit down in a little cart behind the person riding the bike, and they pedal on and they carry you on. Whatever those things are called. They tried to do those. They couldn't do it. Then they went to a pizzeria, and Nia did better than Paige, and they go to a bowling alley, and Paige did better than Nia. So Paige ended up, or Nia did better than Paige. I don't even know it was really dumb, to be honest. So Paige finally got to realize how it is to have a real job, and she realized that she doesn't want a real job. She just loves being in the business and blah 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 blah. So then next week, last week's episode was the obligatory get all the girls together on a trip to get some thirst traps and some bikini shots. So this time they went down to Lake Tahoe. The Bella twins go to Lake Tahoe every single year. Funny how they always go to Lake Tahoe during the summertime, not during the wintertime, so they're able to show off their hot bods and get everybody all riled up. And they can have a beautiful, sexy bikini montage at the very end of the episode, which, of course, they did. But to begin the show, they rented out this very nice cabin, and Nikki, Bree, and Natalia were all there before the other girls came in. Naomi was supposed to be there. She is going to be there the next episode, but she got there a little late because she's going to Atlanta with some of her extended family. We're going to get to that a little bit later. But Lana has a gripe with all the girls because every time they go on these trips, Lana always gets the shit end of the stick. She gets like the basement, she gets the smallest room, and she wanted a nice room this time. And so Nikki and Bree decided to rib Lana and said that she was going to sleep on this pull-out couch, but in fact she was going to get like this nice bed. But then Lana threw a hissy fit, and she worked herself into a shoot because Paige got like the nice bed, and Lana wanted Paige's bed. And then they get all riled up because Lana apparently said something on Twitter like 2 or 3 years ago while Paige was a heel, and Paige took it to heart because I guess they kind of didn't like each other at the time, so she thought it was a shoot. And as I said, Lana and Paige worked themselves into a shoot, and then they get into a little bit of a fight, and then they end up making up, and as they always do. And Paige the next day goes and talks to her mom and her dad, and she was kind of sad, and it was a very touching moment. She called them, and she was like, "Oh, I miss you guys," because, you know, they're over there in England. And she doesn't see him all that often, and they were sad. They wanted to come over, they wanted to see her, and they don't get to see her all that often. It was just the normal things you would expect from a wrestler who hasn't been there all the time. And Paige is super young; she's in her mid-20s still, so little sad. And as I said, Naomi went over to Atlanta, where some of her family is from. So she went with her uncle, who's like maybe even younger than her, maybe a little bit older than her. But she had her uncle, I think maybe some of her cousins, and then Tamina and Dasha Fuentes. I remembered her name. Dasha Fuentes, one of the backstage interviewers for WWE. They go to the club, they get a little turned up at the hotel, and Naomi really wants to get a house in Atlanta so she's closer to her family because she loves Pensacola. She understands that John, which is one of the Usos, has kids there, and they're able to see them, and that's kind of the reason why they still live in Pensacola. But she would love to get a room or get a house in Atlanta, and so she can be next to her family. And then for some reason, John and Naomi are always together. You know, they're husband and wife. They're with each other all the time. They're on the road. They live together. But the perfect timing that Naomi decided to ask John was not while they were on the road, not when they're at their Pensacola house. No, she decided to ask on SmackDown behind like 10 minutes before John went to go out for a wrestling match. And, of course, John said, "No, we're not going to talk about this now. I got to get ready for this match." So, a little cliffhanger for the next week's episode. So, as I said, next week's episode, Naomi will be going over to Lake Tahoe, and the girls will get crunk, and they'll probably fight, and they're going to get drunk. And Bremo did make an appearance on this latest episode of Total Divas. She got a little drunk with Paige and Nia, and they went to the hot tub, and Nia took her top off, and her boobs were hanging out. It was a whole mess. They were just, hopefully that's me in LA. Go to the hot tub, take my top off, my tits are showing, and it's a grand old time. So, that will do it for Total Divas. Before we get into the NXT and Raw, or the NXT and Survivor Series preview, some major news coming out of ROH New Japan. Cody Rhodes has suffered a meniscus tear. He is still set to be at Final Battle and Wrestle Kingdom 13, according to Dave Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer. So, as you've seen on Twitter, if you follow Cody, he's been posting some pictures. He's in a brace. He's healing up. So, meniscus tear, Not super serious, but still you need to be careful. You don't want to make that tear into a full-blown rip and it hurts other ligaments and all this other things up in your knee. But, sad news for Cody. He's the U.S. champion, and it says it's a large meniscus tear. He suffered this Friday night at ROH Global Wars in Buffalo, and not a whole lot is known. It said that he's going to be, well, maybe if I just read the article, you idiot. Dave Meltzer said that it's going to require arthroscopic knee surgery. So he plans to get the surgery in January after Wrestle Kingdom. So he has not had a match announced yet for Wrestle Kingdom, but he's probably going to face Juice Robinson at Wrestle Kingdom. So it's something where he has a tear. He's going to just rehab it. He's going to just try to get it better right now. And then once he gets these big matches out of the way, Final Battle, Wrestle Kingdom, two of the biggest shows of the year, back to back, one in December, one in January. So it's going to be, it's bad timing. You never want to get injured at any time, but definitely for Cody right now, the way he's in the whole contract situation with the Elite and ROH and New Japan and WWE, whatever is going to go on with him, hopefully that doesn't affect any of his offers coming in. It shouldn't. If he has to get arthroscopic knee surgery after January or in January, he's probably looking a couple weeks to, maybe not a couple weeks, maybe a month or two. So, not sad news for Cody. Hopefully he heals up and he doesn't do anything too crazy in these matches that he's going to wrestle in to further injure himself. If these are the only two matches he's going to wrestle until the surgery, I'm perfectly fine with that. I know he has a bunch of bookings that he has to do, but you got to take care of yourself and don't over injure yourself. As we've talked about this on this podcast with Tegan Knox and Seth Rollins, maybe sometimes you get hurt, you work on it a little too much, and then you just make the injury even worse. So that is that for the news around the league. Let's get into the NXT TakeOver War Games and Survivor Series preview. So as I said before SmackDown, before the last episode of NXT, I've tried to go and look on the internet for spoilers for NXT. I didn't go actually for spoilers of the show. I just want to see if I can get spoilers on the entire card, and it looks like the entire card seems to be set. The shortest takeover to date in terms of matches. Only 4 matches have been announced at this very moment, what I can see. We have the War Games match, the NXT Championship match, the NXT Women's Championship match, and the match between Aleister Black and Johnny Gargano. I'm very excited for this show. I'm maybe more excited for this show more than Survivor Series, but the Survivor Series hype coming out of Raw definitely got me hyped up to see that match. And I'm excited. I'm going to be sitting on the floor next to the ramp. So my only concern is, since it is War Games, there's going to be there's going to be 2 rings, and if there's going to be 3 matches that involve only 1 ring, that means at least maybe 1 or 2 of those matches, and hopefully only 1 match is on the other ring, to where it's going to be kind of hard to see. That's kind of the thing I'm a little worried about, but it's going to be interesting to see a War Games, 2 rings in once. Maybe I should have picked some on the either camera side or opposite camera side, but I thought maybe just switch it up. I'm going to be walking away with the NXT War Games chair. That should be fun. So let's get into this preview. The match that I'm possibly looking forward to the most, just because I think it's going to be super interesting how they book it, how they wrestle, and if there is only 4 matches on this card, these matches are going to get a long time. I know the War Games match, automatically that match is going to be long. It's going to go over a half hour. I already know about that. Tommaso Ciampa Velveteen Dream should be fun. Can it go long? I don't know. We have the 2 out of 3 falls match. Shayna Baszler, Kairi Sane. That match can go long. It's 2 out of 3 falls. I've voiced my concerns of 2 out of 3 falls matches before. The first fall shouldn't take place in under 5 minutes, just because you have 2 other falls you have to get to. The first fall, if this was like a regular match, it would take them 15 minutes to get that fall, unless you tell the story of especially with what Shayna Baszler can do. She has that deadly submission, so if she does get Kairi in the submission, tap her out quickly just to preserve herself for later down the line. But the grudge match for Aleister Black and Johnny Gargano, that match, I don't know how long that can go. I think it could go very, very long, and Hold on one moment. I'm going to take a commercial break as I go get the dog, because the dog's barking. Okay, I am back. I'm sorry for that inconvenience. So, as I was saying, the Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. Maybe they will be a tag team down the line. Maybe we see a DIY reunion now that they are heels. Johnny Gargano cut a very good promo on last week's episode of NXT. He was in the parking lot or whatever. He was at Full Sail, and he went back to the scene of the crime where he laid out Aleister Black, and he kind of cut a promo about what was going on and blah 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 and why he did it. I thought it was good. I was looking on YouTube and people saying oh, best promo of the year or best promo in NXT, whatever. I sometimes when you get those high expectations going in, they don't always meet your high expectations. But I thought this was good. I'm not going to sit here and say it was the best promo I've ever seen. It was very good. The Aleister Black. It's going to be interesting to see what the crowd reaction is to Johnny Gargano. I think they will play along and they will just go all out booing Johnny Gargano and backing Aleister Black. Johnny Gargano, I've said this in the past, I wonder what his heel persona is going to be like. Is he just going to embrace being an all-out heel? He is undersized, so he's much more equipped to be a babyface. Something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about is just how NXT has kind of just squandered this Johnny Gargano situation. If you remember back WrestleMania weekend, Johnny Gargano was the hottest thing going. He had the match with Tommaso Ciampa. That match was phenomenal. I mean, maybe that's probably one of my top 3 picks for match of the year. And Johnny Gargano was just on fire. They never gave him that win. They didn't give him that extra oomph to really get to that next level. It's almost kind of like the Daniel Bryan situation, but at least with the Daniel Bryan thing, the fans just kept siding with Daniel Bryan. And then in the end, the crowd turned on Johnny Gargano. I thought maybe they would do something to where Johnny Gargano kind of sways going back and forth. The crowd, kind of what they did with Sami Zayn in the early days of the WWE Network. Sami Zayn teases to go heel, but the crowd actually says don't use the chair, fight with honor, be the man that we know you should be and could be. But with Johnny Gargano, I just don't know exactly what's going on. I think that's very kind of just an underrated story this year of just how NXT has messed up this Johnny Gargano situation. He was the best thing going in NXT. He was super over. He was just I don't like saying a white meat babyface, but he was just a good, clean wrestler that everybody liked, from the kids to the the internet guys. Just everybody liked him, and now he's a heel. Maybe he could recoup some of that heat, and he can get back up to a main event level heel. Maybe they do something with they do team up Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Do they go back to that to where they're a heel like tag team or a heel duo, and then Gargano turns on Ciampa? I don't know how that would work. It's interesting. So with this grudge match, Aleister Black and Johnny Gargano. Aleister Black does not lose very often. Johnny Gargano freshly turned. I will do my predictions I'm going to do my predictions here, but at the very end I will recap them. So when Philip listens back, he can just neatly mark which names I said. So he knows who I picked, because I'm going to win. Last NXT Takeover, I did successfully defend my NXT Championship. So, and I'm the guy who covers NXT. I have a lot of pressure on me to actually get these right. So I will go with Aleister Black to get the victory. It's a grudge match, no disqualification. I can see Johnny Gargano getting disqualified. I can see Johnny Gargano getting disqualified to get Aleister Black the victory, or Aleister Black going clean over Johnny Gargano, but I don't think Johnny Gargano is going to get the victory unless if they do something to where Gargano does cheat to win to get more heat on Black, or to get on heat on both the guys. But I will go with Aleister Black to get the victory. NXT Women's Championship match, 2 out of 3 falls. This match is just kind of not even been hyped, really. It was just kind of announced by William Regal last week on NXT. No real promos from both of the women. They had the backstage promo with Shayna Baszler about basically just saying the same thing. She knows that she can beat Kyrie. It's the only reason Kyrie beat her that one time is because she allowed it. She messed up. And 2 out of 3 falls. Shayna Baszler, Kyrie saying, do you really want to have the titles bouncing back and forth? I do feel like they will be going in a a direction with the four horsewomen. Shayna Baszler, I think, is going to pull out the victory. Tommaso Ciampa, the champion, going up against Velveteen Dream for the NXT Championship match. Now this one's interesting. Tommaso Ciampa versus Velveteen Dream. You can go either way on this one. It's not like the hottest match going forward in terms of the build-up, but I think the match itself will be a lot of fun. Velveteen Dream should be over. Tommaso Ciampa is over as well as a heel, and if they do what they can do, Velveteen Dream kind of. I don't know if I'd say he's like a great wrestler, but he definitely has the charisma. He's over with the crowd. He's very athletic. So he's athletic. Just because you're athletic doesn't mean you're a great wrestler. And just because you're a great wrestler doesn't mean you're athletic. It's just knowing your strengths and knowing how to work the crowd. Like, you can say Hulk Hogan was a great wrestler just because of what he can get out of the crowd with the very little that he did. But going back to this match, Tommaso Ciampa, Velveteen Dream, I see, like, this whole card, it's only 4 matches, so it's very hard to really pick what's going on. Like, I felt the last takeover, I was pretty confident on my picks. The only one I got wrong was Kairi Sane beating Shayna Baszler. But for the most part, I believe I got all the other matches right. This one, I'm not so confident in my picks. I'm going to go with... We have Lars Sullivan lurking in the background. He's kind of the third man in this situation. Oh, I think I'm going to go with Tommaso Ciampa to retain. I think we'll see Lars Sullivan maybe get involved. I don't know, maybe to set up a triple threat match down the line. But then you can also say that Lars Sullivan gets involved, costs Tommaso Ciampa the victory, and Velveteen Dream ends up getting the victory. I mean, on the last episode, we have Velveteen Dream versus Lars Sullivan. Lars Sullivan ends up defeating Velveteen Dream because of some of the help from Tommaso Ciampa. So will it backfire? You know what? Screw it. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to say Velveteen Dream is going to be the new NXT champion. You heard it here first, folks. Velveteen Dream will win the NXT championship. So, we have the main event, is what I believe it'll be. The War Games match. We have the North American champion, Ricochet, the WWE UK champion, Pete Dunne, and the War Raiders against Undisputed Era, which is the full squad of Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. So last year, Undisputed Era ended up getting the victory. And well, do they get the victory again? I don't think so. I think the babyfaces will win this match. They haven't really been playing up the whole Ricochet, Pete Dunne kind of grudge, going back and forth bickering. They're kind of more of a cohesive unit now. I think Ricochet, Pete Dunne, and the War Raiders will end up getting the victory. You have 2 champions plus the challengers to the tag team champions. I think the babyfaces will win. Not a whole lot to say from this match. This match is going to be phenomenal. Will it be better than last year's? Maybe. I think it's going to be, I don't know if I'd call it a spot fest, but it's going to be definitely built around what crazy thing Ricochet does. What is Ricochet going to do? He's going to probably jump off the top of the cage. He's going to do some sort of flippy thing. It's going to be a lot of weapons involved. It's going to be fun, especially with me sitting by the staging area that they're going to have. I even forgot about this until they ran the promo package on the War Games match last week, that they had all the people in the cages in the on the stage. So I'll be next to them. That should be fun. Maybe pick up on some little things that the wrestlers do and say. But I think the babyfaces will end up getting the victory. So to recap, in the War Games match, I have the War Raiders and Pete Dunne and Ricochet getting the victory. I have Velveteen Dream being the new NXT champion, Shayna Baszler retaining her women's championship, and Aleister Black winning against Johnny Gargano in either via disqualification or clean. Very much looking forward to this match. If there are any other matches, well, I don't know what to say. Maybe Matt Riddle and Cassius Ohno ends up being a match. I tried to look to see if that was the case. I couldn't find anything. But I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with that. They're maybe doing a slow build, maybe build it up for the Royal Rumble in January. Who knows? So let's move on to Survivor Series. We have SmackDown and Raw. The only time of year where Raw and SmackDown wrestlers compete against each other, except for the Royal Rumble, except for WrestleMania, except for the Greatest Royal Rumble, except for Crown Jewel, and except for Evolution. This is the one time a year that Raw and SmackDown fight each other. But this is for brand supremacy, so that's why it's the first time, the only time a year, rather. This one, some of the participants aren't exactly known, especially for the Tag Team Survivor Series elimination match, which I know everybody's ready to see. But this one's gonna be this is gonna be fun. I think definitely after what they did on Raw, the Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey match, they have just poured a gallon of gasoline on that thing to make it red hot. It's going to be fun to see what they do, but first off, let's talk about the Cruiserweight Championship match. We have Buddy Murphy defending against Mustafa Ali. I have not watched 205 Live since I was there in attendance in Oracle, who knows, over a year ago. I will go with Buddy Murphy to successfully retain, because why the hell not? The Tag Team Survivor Series elimination match, we have Team Raw, which is Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, the B Team, the Revival, the Lucha House Party, and the Ascension going up against SmackDown, which is the Usos, the New Day, and 3 other teams that have not been announced yet. I don't even know 3 other teams that are on the show. Are we going to get the Colognes? I don't even know who's going to be on there. But I think I will go with Team SmackDown to get this one just because of the tag team match that's going to be happening later on. So I will go with Team SmackDown to get the victory on that one. We have the Women's Survivor Series elimination match. We have Mickie James, Nia Jax, Tamina, Natalya, and Ruby Riott going up against Charlotte Flair, Asuka, Naomi, Sonya Deville, and Carmella. Charlotte Flair was not present for the team announcement last week on SmackDown, but for some strange reason, she came out to attack the women's division on Raw yesterday. Becky Lynch and Charlotte are mortal enemies, even though she came out, and because apparently SmackDown reigns supreme, and they all come together for the greater cause and attacks Raw. So Becky and Charlotte working together. So nice to see that those bitter enemies can come together and defend the blue brand in honor of best in the world, Shane McMahon. This one, I don't exactly know who is going to win. You got people on both sides that you think are going to be protected. Charlotte Flair. Maybe Asuka can get protected. Probably not. But you have Nia Jax, Tamina, freshly turned. You have Ruby Riott and Natalya, who are in some sort of storyline. So you can do something with them, too, to where they don't get along. And maybe that costs somebody a pinfall. Eesh. You know what? I will go with Team Raw to win this one. The thing with these tag team matches, especially for these undercard ones, I don't really know what they can do. It's so unpredictable. There's so many moving parts to where you think they're going one way, they go the other way, and that just messes up the whole thing. So I will go with Team Raw. God damn it, dog! Shut up! Thank you. Anyways, before so rudely, I will can put a muzzle on that dog. All right. I'll go back in afterwards and recap it. We have the Men's Survivor Series elimination match. We have Team Raw, which is Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, and Bobby Lashley, going up against The Miz, Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, Samoa Joe, and best in the world, Shane McMahon. A lot of big names in this one, especially on the Raw team, because Raw does not have a whole lot of depth right now. I swear, dog, I will put you outside if you do it again. Don't do it. Better shut up. I'll smack the piss out your ass. Anyways. We got Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler going up or having their little feud with Finn Balor. Finn Balor has his little feud with Bobby Lashley, so he has Finn Balor has a lot of enemies on this team. Braun Strowman, so Team Raw has 3 heels. SmackDown has only 1 heel. I think Team SmackDown will get the victory here. Braun Strowman has kind of he's been in these matches before. They found different ways to get him disqualified, get him counted out. So I think Team SmackDown will get the victory here. Maybe set up something where they do some dissension between. God damn it, dog! I said if you bark one more time, I will throw you out. But then if I throw him out, he's going to start barking even more. So I don't know. It's a double-edged sword here. So let's just jump right into the singles matches. a tag team match. Sorry, we have the champion versus champion matches. Rather, we have the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Authors of Pain, going up against Cesaro and Sheamus. I think Authors of Pain are going to win this. They've been protected, even though they got not the cleanest of wins against Seth Rollins, but I think since the tag team champions on Raw will get the victory over the tag team champions on SmackDown, that's why I feel like the SmackDown team will get the victory over Raw, because it's WWE and 50-50 booking reigns supreme. The Intercontinental Champion Seth Rollins goes up against the United States Champion Shinsuke Nakamura. We have Dean Ambrose lurking somewhere in the background, so it's easy to see Dean Ambrose getting involved in this match to cost Seth Rollins. But Shinsuke has not done anything up until this point, so do you just get the easy victory, or do you get Shinsuke the victory over Seth just because Seth needs get heat on him because of what Dean Ambrose has been doing to him? Or do you want to keep Seth Rollins strong because maybe he's going to face Brock Lesnar down the line and get the championship? So this one is a very difficult one to call. I will go with Shinsuke Nakamura to get the victory. I think it's too easy. I think Dean Ambrose, it seems like it's too easy. Dean Ambrose isn't on any of the matches. Seth Rollins is in not a high-profile match, but I would say a high-profile match just because it's a first time ever between two internet darlings, Seth Rollins and Shinsuke. Shinsuke, we've been wanting to see Shinsuke turn it up for a while now. Seth Rollins might be one of those guys who can get it out of Shinsuke because Seth Rollins has a reputation of wanting to get all the spots in, wants to have the great match, especially with these top 3 single champion versus champion matches. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. These tag team matches I couldn't care less about, but these champion versus champion matches, I think all of them are going to be very good. The men's Survivor Series match is going to be it's going to be gimmicky. I already know about that. Shane's going to do something stupid. Braun Strowman's going to flip some things over, and Miz and Daniel Bryan are going to bicker back and forth. But the single matches is where the money is, and I think Shinsuke will get the victory over Seth Rollins. Now, we have the Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey against the SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch, coming off of that red-hot angle they had to close Monday Night Raw. I already said I had some issues with what they did coming with Becky and Charlotte, and baby faces and heels kind of working together for brand supremacy, and who really cares about brand supremacy? I really liked what Braun Strowman said to Stephanie McMahon on Raw. He basically said, I don't give a damn about what you and Shane have going on in your little sibling rivalry. I just want my championship match. I just want to, do me and kick some ass and take some names. And I loved that promo from Braun Strowman, just because it kind of, that's what the wrestler should be thinking, is I don't care about Raw versus SmackDown. I want to be the champion. I want to make as much money as possible. I want to be the biggest star as possible. I don't care about your stuff. I mean, yes, you have sports when it's, a team versus a team, but that's a collective unit. It's not like a tennis. I'm going off on a tangent that probably is not going to make any sense. But if you have, different tennis players and you have like their agencies, like their sports agents, they all get together in some mega tennis match. Are the tennis players really going to care if their sports agent? I'm going to stop right there before I sound even stupider than I already am. So Ronda Rousey against Becky Lynch. This one's very interesting. I don't think they want Ronda Rousey to take a L right here, but yeah, Becky Lynch is just on fire. I do feel like Becky Lynch is going to be the more popular more popular wrestler in this match. Ronda Rousey is from the LA area, may help her a little bit, but I think right now, I said this on the Bulletcast last week, I think Ronda Rousey's playing with a little bit of fire, being a little derogatory towards Becky Lynch. She basically did the whole no offense, but then she started offending Becky Lynch of what she said on her promo this week of calling her, the millennial man or whatever that BS was. And I don't think Ronda Rousey understands that she herself is also a millennial. So, and a lot of people in that crowd are probably millennials, and I'm a millennial. I don't really take offense when people just stereotype millennials and say, we're all skinny jean wearing, avocado toast wearing. I never have ever had avocado toast before. I imagine it probably tastes very good. Some avocado on some wheat bread. That sounds great. But I've never waited in line and bought it. I don't understand why avocado toast gets a bad rap. It sounds good. I like avocado and guacamole on my burrito bowls. Why can't it be good on toast? Let's get back to the Survivor Series match. We have Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch. I thought the segment yesterday was just phenomenal. Besides what I said about goddammit dog, what did I say? Shut the fuck up. That's what I thought. I think Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch is going to be a great match. I think the segment they had just poured gasoline on that fire. It's going to be red hot. I've said this in the past. Blood. I think blood is a very good thing to have in wrestling. Yes, I know it can be very dangerous, and you can contract diseases and everything like that. But in a company like WWE, you have testing. You can control that stuff. And just if there was no blood with what Becky Lynch did in that segment, it would have been really good. But I think with what the blood and everything just coming together and just the swagger and the intensity that Becky Lynch had, it's just going to be, it made that segment that much better. I'm going to do something that we've never done before on the Bullet Cast. God dog? I ain't playing around. Alright? Shut the fuck up. Back. Okay. Sorry about him. He's old. He's like 16 or I don't even know how old that dog is. I'm going to say that there will be a no contest. This match will end with some sort of shenanigans. I think we will get some sort of interference, be it from Charlotte, be it from the Four Horsewomen. I don't think you want to have Becky Lynch lose clean to Ronda Rousey, and I don't think WWE wants Ronda Rousey to lose at this very moment. If I were to pick one, I think Becky Lynch beating Ronda Rousey might be the way to go, but I just don't think that's what they want to do. If you have Becky Lynch beat Ronda Rousey, you can save that match for later on down the line, and Becky Lynch is that one person, like, you know, the one thing that Ronda Rousey hasn't conquered yet. And she's on SmackDown, so you don't have to force it. She beats her, and then she runs through the entire competition for Raw, and then that's when SmackDown moves over to Fox. You can get Ronda Rousey over to Fox, and then you can have Ronda and Becky challenge each other, and you can build towards that for, I don't know, whenever it would be, Royal Rumble in 2 years, or whenever you feel like it. But I think we will go with a no contest here. I know it's not the best result in the world, but I just think that's a way to book out of these champion versus champion matches. They've done this in the past. Throughout wrestling history, when you have these champion versus champion matches, sometimes you got to book these crappy finishes just so nobody gets hurt. Okay, so I'm back. A little late scheduled edit here. I was on the internet about to almost post this episode, and I found out that apparently this match might not even be taking place. As I said, Becky Lynch got busted up, bloodied, and she's like a badass, but this might put everything in jeopardy. Still, I'm doing this before SmackDown, so I don't exactly know what's going on. Dave Meltzer apparently reports that Becky Lynch is off the card. So, I said this was a no contest. I don't exactly know, but I'm just putting out there that I am aware that this match is not taking place, that this match probably might not take place, and this absolutely just sucks balls, because I was really looking forward to this match, and now that Nia Jax seemed like very just, I don't even know what happened. I haven't seen the actual footage yet of what happened, the headbutt or the arm strike or whatever took place. Just she enters Becky Lynch, and this is not a good look for Nia Jax if she ended up doing something very careless and just something very easy as having a brawl, and she busts up Becky Lynch's nose, and she messes up what was one of the hottest things going on in the world of wrestling, and one of the hottest women's angles possibly of all time. So, yeah, let's get back to your regularly scheduled Under the Radar. Take it away, and let's talk about the AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar match. But next up, we have what probably is going to be the main event. We have Brock Lesnar against AJ Styles. Will this be the main event? I think so. Could the Ronda Rousey Becky Lynch match main event? Absolutely it could. But I think the men's main event, I don't know what you would call this, the major men's singles champion versus champion match will main event this card. And I will go with AJ Styles beating Brock Lesnar. I know it's kind of going on a limb. My heart says AJ Styles, but my brain says Brock Lesnar. We've seen this thing happen so many times where Brock Lesnar faces somebody where we think this would be a good time for Brock Lesnar to lose. Roman Reigns, however many times it happened this year. We had Braun Strowman lose to him time and time again. We had the AJ Styles match last year. We could have had Seth Rollins beat him. We could have had a whole bunch of other people beat Brock Lesnar, but I think with Brock Lesnar's contract coming to an end, I think it's definitely the right time. If he is only going to have 2 matches left on his contract, I think you need to have those last 2 matches be him losing. AJ Styles can take a lot more away from this match if he beats Brock Lesnar compared to if Brock Lesnar beats AJ Styles for a second time. I think that just hurts AJ Styles more than it helps Brock Lesnar, to be honest. And the thing that I'm kind of taking away, and I think I'm putting a lot of too much stock in this, is AJ said that he's going to beat Brock Lesnar. That's not a prediction, that's a spoiler. And I think babyfaces, when they do predictions and they say stuff like that, they need to come through on that promise. When Paul Heyman says it, he's a heel. So heels can promise the world, and when they don't deliver, they're heels. It's okay, that's what they do. They lie, and they don't deliver, because they're not as good. But Paul Heyman also, when he said not prediction, it's a spoiler, he did get cut off before he said it's a spoiler, and that's when Jinder Mahal came out and Brock Lesnar killed the poor Singh brothers. AJ Styles saying it, I think it holds a little bit more weight, and I would be very surprised if, WWE fails to shock me at anything at this point, because with AJ, he should be maybe in a bigger spot than what he should be at the moment, but he's had the championship forever, and if he doesn't beat Brock Lesnar, is it going to hurt AJ Styles a bunch where he's not going to main event anything? Maybe not, but AJ, he's on SmackDown. SmackDown already gets kind of the shit end of the stick. AJ, I think, needs to win this match if Brock Lesnar is going to go away. If Brock Lesnar is a rental, he's not going to be here for more than 6 months. I don't know what the problem is with Vince and having Brock Lesnar lose. People already are kind of like angry at Brock. They don't really care for him anymore because of what they've ingrained in our minds about him not being a full-time wrestler. He comes over, once a month, if that. The whole thing with Roman Reigns, that was their way of trying to get Roman Reigns over, is just by showing that Brock Lesnar doesn't care about WWE because God forbid he cares more about money than entertaining the fans and being loyal to the McMahon family. So, to go over, AJ Styles, tentatively, I'm saying will win this match. If Brock Lesnar wins, if he beats AJ Styles clean in the middle of the ring, that's not going to shock me. But I think the smart thing is for AJ Styles to win. So to recap, we have the Cruiserweight Champion Buddy Murphy retaining in the Tag Team Survivor Series elimination match. I have Team SmackDown winning. I have the Team Raw winning for the Women's Survivor Series Tag Team match. In the Men's Tag Team match, I will have Team SmackDown. For the title versus title match, or the champion versus champion matches, I have AOP beating Cesaro and Sheamus, Shinsuke Nakamura beating Seth Rollins, a no contest happening between Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch, and finally AJ Styles beating Brock Lesnar. That will do it for me for today. Thank you guys very much for listening to this podcast. Make sure to follow Curveballs and Chair Shots, my other podcast that I do with Dominic, and the studio audience that we call her. We'll be going out on the road down to LA, and we will be doing our regular scheduled podcast on Friday, probably on the road, where we talk about sports and wrestling, so you can get my full preview of Survivor Series, where we go over what happened on Raw and what happened on SmackDown. I'll preview Survivor Series and NXT again, but not only that, is I will have other podcasts coming up or going out during that period of time. We're not exactly sure yet what we're going to be doing. We have not exactly set down a schedule of what we're doing. We might do some random podcasts while we're on the road, because it is like a 5-6 hour trip. We might just do some random one topic, short little podcast. God damn it, dog, I'm plugging my podcast. Shut the fuck up. Alright? Jeez. Anyways, I'm going to be doing an NXT review and a Survivor Series review. I think the NXT review will go up simulcast on the Bulletcast feed, so you can stay tuned and listen to that. There will be alcohol consumption for NXT and Survivor Series, so we might get a little talk and shop action going on these post-game shows, so that should be fun. I don't exactly know how drunk I will be, but we will be we are staying at the Marriott next door to the Staples Center, so we can drink as much as we want and not have to worry about who's driving. We can get plastered, walk our drunk asses down to the Staples Center, walk our drunk asses back to the hotel, drink some more beer, drink some more margaritas. It's going to be a grand old time. So stay tuned for that. So the podcast is Curveballs and Chair Shots. I will link to it into the description of this podcast. And as always, I'm still waiting for an email, a question from you guys. I tell you, if you send me a question rather, I will answer it on this podcast. The mailbag is utrmailbag@gmail.com. Once again, that is utrmailbag@gmail.com. It does not have to relate to wrestling whatsoever. If you want to talk about life, sports, whatever, I can save it for the very end of the podcast, and we can just bullshit and do whatever the hell we want, because this is my podcast, damn it. So, thank you guys very much for listening. Enjoy the regularly scheduled Bulletcast whenever the hell that comes out, even though I won't be on it, but, hopefully Philip can find a suitable replacement for me. Hopefully next time I talk to you on the Under the Radar, I will still be Bulletcast champion, but probably not, because that is just what I do. I win the title and then I lose it. So, once again, follow Curveballs and Chair Shots for additional podcast on the road trip vlogs. Maybe I'll get my act together and maybe I'll post something on my YouTube channel that I haven't posted in like 6 months or a year. I haven't posted a nice vlog on my YouTube channel in a while. But thank you for listening. I very much appreciate it. 45 minutes. I think the second longest podcast I've ever done. The longest one I've done on this show was the all-in recap, which went over an hour. I don't know how I did that. Talking by myself for 45 minutes. That's something maybe not to be impressed with, but something that's... And I also messed up. I had my microphone on mute for like a good 90 seconds, or not even like 5 minutes, I think. So that the end of the Ronda Rousey talk and the AJ Styles Brock Lesnar talk was take 2, which I was a little bit pissed off about. So thank you guys very much for listening. Goodbye and good night. Bang.